So I've been thinking about time. It always seems to be the one thing that we've never got enough of. You know, like when Mum says, come on, time to tidy your room. You'll say, no, I haven't got time right now, I'm just finishing this. Or Dad says, come on, it's your turn with the washing up. And you say, oh, Dad, if I had time, I'd love to. Well, right now, time is the one thing we have got lots of, because we haven't got lots of school. And there are lots of things in the shops that just aren't there. You know, empty shelves where the pasta used to be, or where the milk used to be, or where the loo roll used to be. We haven't got those things, but we do have time. It's really hard to get an idea of what time looks like. So, I've got these vitamin tablets, and it says there are 400 tablets in the tub. Actually, I know that there aren't. There are 398 tablets in there, because I know that I've had 2 of them. So, 398 tablets. That's a lot of days. 365 days in a year, actually 366 days this year because it's a leap year. So there's more than a year's worth of tablets there, more than a year's worth of days. One of those is tomorrow. That might be Christmas Day. That might be your birthday. Lots and lots of days stretching ahead, and each of them different, and each of them will have its own story. I think that's really exciting. Of course, what we don't know about each of those days is what they're going to be like. Some of those days are going to be really good. Some of those days are going to be harder than others. We don't know what they're going to look like, and that's part of the excitement of looking forward. All of those look exactly the same. Let's put Christmas and your birthday back in there. We can't tell the difference. But each day won't be the same. Each day is going to be different, and the story of each day is up to us. We get to write that story. Whatever we do that day is what that day is about. It's sometimes easier to look back on what we've done, and this is a Let's Schoolboy Diary 1977. Wow. 43 years ago. And it was given to somebody called Hugh Rawson, whoever that might be, by Mark at Christmas 1976. So this was my school diary. Actually, it wasn't a school diary, it was a schoolboy's diary. And it came to me at Christmas 1976 from my brother. And look, I just noticed this today. There's some information there about taking your first photographs. I don't suppose I ever even read it at the time, and cameras have changed a lot, and I don't look like that anymore. It's also got, very importantly, all the Arsenal matches, and I had, what did I say? I think I drew a ring around the matches that we won, and I underlined the matches that Arsenal lost, and as you can see, it wasn't a very good season for Arsenal. They didn't win very many at all. And then the diary, there were lots of weeks where it looks like I was too busy to be bothered to write very much, and I can't really remember any of those days, but I did a lot of skateboarding, and Arsenal beat West Ham 3-0. Couldn't really tell you very much more about that week. But if we look at this time, all those years ago, I went riding my bike with Ratty. we had a film on at school, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, on Monday the 28th of March. And on this day, my trumpet teacher came to give me a lesson, and England beat Luxembourg 5-0 in a World Cup qualifier. Now, it's really nice to look back on this diary to see the sort of things that I thought were important and the things I wrote down. But I can't really remember many of the days. It's just a nice thing to have, and it tells me a little bit about what I was like. I suppose if I had that time again, I'd want to write a little bit more detail now so I could really remember what each of those days was like and what was special about it. So, a diary like this one is really useful for looking back and reminding us of things that we've done. It shows us that there were good times, there were bad times, lots of skateboarding times, lots of football times, lots of things that I used to really enjoy back in 1977. I also know that on some of those days where it just says went skateboarding, most of the time I had a great time. If I didn't, I wouldn't have bothered doing it. But I do know that there were some times in there when it wasn't so good. And I had bad days on the skateboard. What about the day when I fell off and took all the fingernails off my hand? Ouch. I still remember that 40 plus years later. That was really, really painful. Very often, time is what we make of it. Sometimes it goes really fast. My days spent skateboarding used to fly by. I'd leave the house in the morning, I'd take some sandwiches with me, and before I knew it, it was time to go home again in the evening and it was getting dark. They just used to fly by. Other times, the days just really, really dragged. That long car journey to visit your gran. And things change. The little boy that wrote this diary is bigger now, he's not the same. But some things stay the same. There's a list in the back of my friends and their birthdays. Now, I can remember them all. Not their birthdays, but the friends. And some of them I don't know what they're doing now. But some of them I still see, and that's lovely. Arsenal is still the same. Winning some, losing some, not winning nearly as many as I'd like. I just don't write the scores down all the time now, and I don't draw a ring around the matches we win and underline those that we lose. Some things stay the same, some things change. Now that we're all at home, it's worth thinking that these are really unusual times, and I think it would be really good if you could make some kind of a diary, do something with your time. If you had a diary of this time, the time that we're at home, it doesn't have to look like that. Could be a notepad, could even just be a sheet of paper. A little bit, perhaps once a week, perhaps every day, writing about how you're feeling or the things you did, because in years to come it'll be something really precious for you to look back on. But if you don't like writing, do something else. Make a cake. Draw a picture. Take some photographs, you know? I've said to a few of you, why don't you take 5 photographs every day while we're in this situation, of you at home and the things you're doing. What a fantastic record that will be when you come to look back on it in years to come. If you don't want to do that, learn to play an instrument. You know, pick up a guitar, pick up your dood or your toot or your ukulele or the piano. Don't pick up the piano. Sit down at the piano and have a go. It's a great time to make the most of time, to fill your time with something new and exciting. And perhaps even more importantly, now that you've got this gift of time, you could give time to somebody else. You know, there are going to be plenty of people around who are scared, who are lonely, and would love to hear from you. Maybe you've got a relative, an elderly relative perhaps, or a brother or a sister who's away, perhaps at university or college, or perhaps you've got an elderly aunt or uncle who would just love to hear from you. Maybe a phone call or a card, or maybe it's just a neighbour, perhaps somebody who can't go out at the moment, and maybe when you've been shopping you could just drop something off for them. So give somebody else some of your time as well. So do think about how you're going to use this time. I would really encourage you, one, to do something for somebody else. Not just one thing, but something every day. Even if it's just helping make life a little bit better for your brother or your sister or your mum or your dad or your pet. Do something for somebody else. But do something for yourself too, and I would strongly encourage you to do something that's going to enable you to look back on it. A bit like I can look back on this diary. I wish I'd written a bit more about myself. I wish that it said more than just skateboarding or cycling with Ratty or whoever it was, or the Arsenal scores. You know, I wish I wrote something about how I actually feel, and that's what I'd encourage you to do. Write about how you feel, not being able to go to school, not being able to leave the house, not being able to see your friends. What are the things that you don't like? What are the things that you do like? What are the things that have changed? So use this time wisely. If you think about the time being given to you as a present, all wrapped up, big glittery box, and you open the box and inside it are the next few weeks of time that you can do with what you want while you're at home. Use that time wisely. Jesus told us to love one another. He told us to love our neighbours as ourselves. It doesn't just mean the people who live next door, it means the people around us. So think, what can you do for those people? If you could unwrap that package of time and share it with them, how would you share your time with them? Until next time, have a good time. Take care.